Regulation should be a good issue for Democrats. It's certainly one they're associated with. And I think the average voter would agree that banks and chemical plants and drug companies need watching. Telling a company, you can't dump the waste from your hog farm straight into the water supply. We're mostly all for that. But Democrats have become a parody of themselves, just making rules to make rules because it makes you feel like you're a better person. Making sure that everything bad never happens again, which you can never fully do. It just makes everyone else's life a drag. The Biden infrastructure bill has a provision that requires all new cars to install an alert system that goes off when you leave a baby in the back seat, which is something done only by crackheads and people who sadly, yes, do it on purpose. And after every one of us winds up bearing the cost for cars to install this alarm, you know who's going to ignore it? Crackheads and people who do it on purpose.
Bill Maher just dropped his 2 cents on the media circus, and it was pure fireworks. Maher, a dyed-in-the-wool leftist, torched the woke crowd for their cowardly refusal to face off with centrists and conservatives. And trust me, it was brutal. So, without further delay, let's dive straight in.
You know, the right-wingers say what you want about them, but they talk to you. They're not into this leftist think that the left really has much more of a, I don't talk to you, I don't want to deal with you, you're deplorable, I can't break bread with you. Yeah. That attitude, and like all the right-wingers, they don't have that attitude. No, again, I didn't vote for them.
Bill Maher just dropped an honest submission, and from the look of things, he's inching closer to the center. For years, Maher has been a reliable voice on the left, but even he can't ignore what's happening anymore. He points out that the modern left has completely abandoned meaningful debate. Instead of engaging, they retreat into their safe bubbles and echo chambers, sealing themselves off from reality. Maher's frustration is clear. How can progress be made when one side refuses to even acknowledge opposing arguments? It's a wake-up call the left desperately needs, but continues to ignore.
He sat here, he's a human being, he's not a monster.
And a husband and a father.
Yes, and I liked him. I liked them all. They're all nice people when you meet them in person, and they're not as crazy as they would, nobody's as crazy as they make them out to be.
And that, right there, is Maher's biggest issue with today's left. The instant demonization of anyone who dares to disagree. Disagree with them on policy, you're a monster. Question their narrative, you're suddenly a dictator. Push back even slightly? Congratulations, you're now a fascist. This knee-jerk labeling doesn't just shut down conversation, it poisons it. Instead of engaging in healthy, meaningful debate, the left creates caricatures of their opponents, making it easier to vilify them. The end result, the right becomes an open target for unhinged attacks from those who can't handle real dialogue, only cheap name-calling.
Pressing enough. Having just had a birthday and being 66, please don't ask me to start doing grown-up things like run for president. A few weeks ago, Fox News' Dana Perino, a former Bush press secretary, suggested that the Democrats should recruit me to run for president, which is kind of special because it means that in the space of 20 years, Bush press secretaries have gone from telling me I need to watch what I say.
They need to watch what they say, watch what they do, and this is not a time for remarks like that. There never is.
They've gone from that to wondering if I should run for president.
It'll be interesting to see if Bill Maher is recruited to run for the presidency.
Bill Maher might never openly admit it, but a large chunk of his views already align with right-leaning ideology. Sure, he still wears the badge of a liberal, but when you cut through the noise, his critiques of cancel culture, woke extremism, and the suffocating intolerance of the left echo far more with conservatives than progressives. That's why some commentators and journalists are openly speculating about what a Maher run for office could look like, specifically under the Republican banner. Imagine that, a lifelong liberal suddenly embraced as a political weapon by the very side he once sparred with.
I have many flaws, but you can't accuse me of maturing. Let's get this straight. It's not me who's changed. It's the left, who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental and a large contingent who refuse to call them out for it. But I will. That's why I'm a hero at Fox these days.
The whole idea of life is to mature, evolve, and grow wiser as individuals. We all hold positions or beliefs that, with time and experience, no longer make sense or reflect reality. And that's perfectly normal. Growth means adapting, questioning ourselves, and becoming more grounded in common sense. But here's the problem. The modern left seems utterly stagnant. Instead of evolving, they cling to rigid, outdated, and often anti-common sense ideals. Worse, they refuse to engage with anyone outside their bubble or concede even an inch. While the rest of us grow saner and wiser, they remain frozen in denial.
Which shows just how much liberals have their head up their ass, because if they really thought about it, they would have made me a hero on their media. But that can't happen in this ridiculous new era of mind-numbing partisanship, where if I keep it real about the nonsense in the Democratic Party, it makes me an instant hero to Republicans. The same thing happened in reverse to Darth Vader's daughter, Liz Cheney, who is now a hero to liberals simply because she recognizes Biden did not steal the last election. What a sad commentary.
It's almost comical how allergic liberals are to criticism. The second you dare hold up a mirror to their flaws, they don't pause to reflect. They throw a tantrum and cut you off like you've committed a crime. Just ask Bill Maher. For decades, he was their loudest cheerleader, waving the progressive flag with pride. But the moment he started poking holes in their sacred woke ideologies, suddenly he wasn't the hero anymore. He was public enemy number one. That's the left's playbook. Worship you when you obey, crucify you when you question. So much for tolerance and open-mindedness.
Where simply acknowledging reality is now seen as a profile in courage. People sometimes say to me, you didn't used to make fun of the left as much. Yeah, because they didn't give me so much to work with. The oath of office I took was to comedy. And if you do goofy shit, wherever you are on the spectrum, I'm going to make fun of you because that's where the gold is. And the fact that they are laughing at it should tell you something. It rings true.
The left loves to brag about being the party of sanity, but let's be honest, those days are long gone. At this point, even raw insanity sounds more refreshing than the circus they're running. Just look around. Screaming matches dressed up as debates, endless purity tests, and a cancel culture so aggressive it eats its own faster than piranhas. And the best part, a few brave leftists are finally whispering what the rest of us already know, that the movement has gone completely toxic. Even Gavin Newsom, the golden boy of California progressivism, has admitted the obvious. The left desperately needs a deep scrub, a full-on detox, maybe even an exorcism. When your own poster children are begging for sanitizing wipes, you know the rot has gone too far. But don't worry, they'll still lecture the rest of us on morality while drowning in their own mess.
When normal people read that San Francisco has basically legalized shoplifting, they think Democrats have gone nuts. They think, that Ted Cruz guy seems like a real stiff. But at least he believes in the concept of shopping with money.
Democrats have a strange talent. If something is abnormal, destructive, or downright stomach churning, they'll find a way to legalize it, normalize it, and then parade it as progress. Take shoplifting, for example. In city after city, they've basically turned theft into a free hobby, lowering penalties to the point where criminals can stroll out of stores with armfuls of goods, while hardworking business owners are left helpless. Then comes homelessness. Instead of solving the crisis, Democrats normalize it, transforming sidewalks into tent cities and calling it compassion. And let's not forget the filthy streets that follow, littered with needles, trash, and human waste, all under the banner of tolerance. Ordinary Americans are expected to pretend this chaos is noble, when in reality it's a complete collapse of common sense. Democrats don't fix problems. They rebrand disasters as justice and dare you to disagree.
It's not my fault that the party of FDR and JFK is turning into the party of LOL and WTF. Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent, cancel mortgage, and no more policing or incarceration, declaring that capitalism is slavery, canceling Lincoln and Dr. Seuss, teaching children they're oppressors and math is racist, making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral, and now an emoji for pregnant men. Real. I'm not making it up.
The Democrats have become every comedian's dream punchline, and honestly, they've earned it. Their policies are so absurd, you'd think they were writing material for late-night monologues themselves. Take their brilliant idea of defunding the police, because nothing screams progress like stripping law enforcement while crime skyrockets. Who needs safety, right? Let's just roll out the red carpet for chaos and see how quickly the nation devolves into a scene from Mad Max. And then there's their beloved cancel culture, the crown jewel of their insanity. It's supposed to be about justice, but in reality, it's a glorified witch hunt that's ruined careers, silenced voices, and turned social media into a firing squad. The damage it's done is beyond words, yet Democrats act like it's some noble cause. At this rate, they don't need comedians to roast them. They're doing a flawless job of self-parody.
California just passed a law requiring large retailers to have a non-gendered toy section. A non-gendered toy section? Isn't Ken enough? We need a law for that? Do you have to inject yourselves into everything? From where you can throw a frisbee to who can braid hair? This is why so many people, by the way, were triggered by COVID policies. They were already sick of rules. Regulation.
If there's one thing California has perfected, it's the art of overregulation. This state doesn't just govern, it micromanages every last detail of your life. Want to start a business? Get ready for a mountain of permits, licenses, and red tape that would make even the IRS jealous. Want to drive your car? Better hope it meets the ever-changing emission standards dreamed up by bureaucrats who probably haven't touched a wrench in their lives. And let's not forget housing. Even the literal roof over your head is buried under regulations, codes, and zoning laws that drive costs through the stratosphere. That's why building anything in California takes years of paperwork and a small fortune in fees, if you even get approval at all. Sacramento doesn't just poke its nose into everything, it shoves its whole head in, and yet they wonder why people are fleeing the state in droves.
Regulation should be a good issue for Democrats. It's certainly one they're associated with. And I think the average voter would agree that banks and chemical plants and drug companies need watching. Telling a company, you can't dump the waste from your hog farm straight into the water supply. We're mostly all for that. But Democrats have become a parody of themselves, just making rules to make rules because it makes you feel like you're a better person. Making sure that everything bad never happens again, which you can never fully do. It just makes everyone else's life a drag.
Maher drops another devastating truth bomb. You don't make society better by making rules about rules. That's not progress, it's suffocation. You can't police every word, every thought, and every action, and then expect people to flourish in a thriving, dynamic culture. The more rules and restrictions we pile on, the more lifeless and predictable society becomes. Creativity doesn't grow under surveillance, it withers. Human expression isn't meant to be micromanaged. It's meant to breathe, to take risks, to push boundaries. Yet today's obsession with overregulation and political correctness is stripping away the very spark that makes us human. Instead of inspiring greatness, it produces conformity and fear. Instead of vibrant debate and innovation, we get dull repetition and self-censorship. Maher is right. When you crush freedom in the name of control, you don't create a better society. You create a boring, joyless, and brittle one.
The Biden infrastructure bill has a provision that requires all new cars to install an alert system that goes off when you leave a baby in the back seat, which is something done only by crackheads and people who sadly, yes, do it on purpose. And after every one of us winds up bearing the cost for cars to install this alarm, you know who's going to ignore it? Crackheads and people who do it on purpose.
At the end of the day, Bill Maher has become something the modern left can't handle. Honest. He's not afraid to call out hypocrisy, even if it means turning against his own side. And that's why his words hit so hard. Maher reminds us that growth comes from questioning ourselves, evolving our beliefs, and engaging in real debate, not from hiding in echo chambers or slapping labels on anyone who disagrees. He's exposed the absurdity of trying to build a better society by stacking rules on top of rules, choking creativity, and silencing silencing voices in the process. Whether he realizes it or not, Maher now resonates more with the center and even the right than with the rigid left he once championed. And maybe that's the ultimate irony. The man once hailed as a liberal icon now stands as living proof that common sense transcends political labels. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more fiery videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.